Yo guys, welcome back. Today, we have a couple of tips and tricks with Mack. Mack is an absolute unit. He's a beast on almost every map, but he's not the easiest rogue to get the most out of. So in my journey to level 10 mastery, I picked up a couple tips and tricks that I've used to help me win some games. And today, I'm gonna pass those tricks on to you. Remember to subscribe so you can catch the next one. Let's get straight on with the video and be sure that whenever the enemy team fight the law, you win. Okay, so it is no secret that Mack is a beast, but how do you get the most out of him? I'm going to go through all the tips and tricks that I've learned getting Mack to level 10 and playing him beyond. We're going to go in depth on Mack's weapons, the movement that you should use, his utility and the best places to use that, and of course, his active and passive ability. As well as that, I'm going to go for a couple of things that you should do when coming up against an enemy Mack. Be that playing Mack yourself or anyone else. Either way, whether you're a beast at the game or if you just started out, there will be something in this video for you. So let's not waste any time. Let's get straight on with Mack's weapons. When Mack was added, the Conviction LMG was added with him. It is Mack's signature weapon and is an up to 70 round LMG that has a decent fire rate and decent damage as well. But of course, there is one thing that makes this gun very different from every other weapon, and that is when you begin firing, the accuracy actually increases. When I first heard about this, my initial instinct was that the best practice for this gun would be to pre-fire before swinging a corner and get ready to shoot that enemy with very good precision. But this brings me on to my first point, which is don't pre-fire round corners most of the time. I think it is a good idea to pre-fire around a corner if you know where the enemy is and you know that that accuracy will be a benefit to you. But if you don't know exactly where the enemy is, they will definitely know when you are when you start holding down left click and unleash that flurry of bullets. I've seen inexperienced Mack players, and of course I've done this myself, they open fire before going around the corner, and then by the time that they peek, everyone has already ducked behind cover. You 100% do lose kills doing this. So definitely take into account the situation you're in before pre-firing. There are some situations where just holding down that trigger is the best practice for Mack though. This is one of Mack's best uses when in demolition. You can keep an enemy pinned behind some close cover or pinned in a corner by continually firing, which means that they don't want to peek. You can then ping it for your team can flood the enemy or they can throw some utility in. That of course does require a coordinated team and isn't the most useful on strikeout, but it is a big use that I have found from it. So let's say you're pre-firing at an enemy that's behind small cover. It is very important to keep in mind that Mack's damage per second is not actually that high. Although Mack's accuracy is incredible, if you're in a situation where the enemy is likely to hit every bullet as well, it's pretty often that you'll die. So just be aware, an enemy with a high damage gun like an SMG or a KA-30 will be able to take you out if you're within that range. There are things you can do to avoid this, which I'll cover in the movement section a little later in the video. And to be honest, avoiding those situations isn't always possible or the best practice. Just be aware that you could get your head taken off. The extra accuracy that you get with a Conviction means that your aim does have to be pinpoint, which at close range is actually a problem for you. When tracking close, fast-moving targets, you have to keep your reticle directly on the enemy at all times to continue doing damage. Most weapons have a bloom feature, which means the more you fire, the less accurate you have to be to do any damage. At close to medium ranges, Mack's Conviction is definitely high risk, high reward. If you are able to keep the crosshair on the enemy, you'll kill them very quickly, but if you're just a touch off, it is a lot more punishing than every other weapon in the game. Players that play naturally with the ADS sensitivity at 100 will really enjoy Mack's gun though. But as a general rule, I do say avoid this when using Mack. But if close range combat is your thing, then there is hope. You can always use the Objection, which is Mack's second weapon. The Objection SMG has insane DPS. The problem with it is using it anywhere outside of 10 meters does become kind of difficult. The Objection has almost no recoil, but the bloom is quite high. Your aim can be square on the center of your target, but from anywhere outside of 10 meters, it's possible to miss quite a lot of shots. However, on some maps like Icarus, where you can kind of guarantee yourself a close range fight, the Objection can be really handy. Also, if you get lucky or create situations for yourself where multiple enemies are in front of you, it's possible to go absolutely crazy with Replenish, the Objection, and Mack's passive, which I'll speak about a little later. Out of Mack's two weapons, I've definitely used the Conviction more than I have the Objection. I find that most maps and modes allow you to create a little bit of distance between your target than they allow you to close that distance down. However, saying that, I have used assault rifles pretty much the whole time I've been playing Rogue Company, so I'm used to finding those engagements. Let me know in the comments, which weapon do you prefer? So next we have to talk about movement with Mack. Now these rules can be applied to any rogue, but they are so much more important on Mack. Now given that you'll be pre-firing a lot before taking an engagement or picking fights with DMR players at long range, it is important that they hit you a little bit less than you hit them, and Mack's kit is really good for doing that. When taking engagements, it is important to feather or just outright spam your crouch button if you have to, in order to keep your hitbox and your head moving. Of course, you can move up and down with a crouch, definitely move left to right with a strafe as well. Mack does have access to Stalker, which is an incredible perk that I highly recommend prioritizing. There have been plenty of times when I see a DMR player from quite long range and then just wide swing to take the fight. They wide swing confidently to take the fight as well, and I end up beaming them, not because I'm hitting every single shot, but because I'm hitting enough shots and they're missing a couple. Stalker, pre-firing their cover, and Balls of Steel are very useful tools in order to win these fights. As an added bonus, if you do make that kill, then you'll disrupt the enemy comms for the rest of the round. That Dahlia will not shut up until they're back in the plane about how overpowered Mack is, that I can guarantee you. If it is early round and you haven't bought Stalker yet, then you can actually hip fire to have a really good accuracy. Just be aware this uses your hip fire sense rather than your ADS sense, which is why I mentioned that ADS 100 sense players will have an easier time, but it's very easy to try this and miss a few shots, so do use that with caution. So in other words, when using Mack, just try and wiggle as much as you can.
Why are you wiggling? Just in case anyone's watching, don't want to give him a free shot.
So the next reason that Mack is a beast is because of the utility he has in his pocket. Mack has access to the frag grenade and the APS, or the trophy system. So let's tell you a little bit about the frag grenade. The frag grenade, in my opinion, is the best weapon in Rogue Company. Anyone that's dropped into my streams has seen me cooking those things for more time than they see me holding my gun. But there are a couple of best practices that you can use that will make you a lot more likely to secure kills. Now the first very important thing is, when you cook a grenade, you can actually swap weapons and put it back in your pocket. This resets the fuse. Not going to blow up in your pocket, don't worry. And it means that you can save your grenade for the perfect moment when you can guarantee yourself a kill. Other tips to use to hit enemies in hard to reach places: you can ricochet the grenade off a wall to hit enemies behind close cover, and you can also bounce and kind of roll it along the ground. This allows you to kind of drop a grenade just down the staircase. But the most important thing when using a frag grenade is to get used to the timing. It is of course a 5-second fuse, and there are a couple of different strategies that you can use to make sure that you're getting it to explode exactly when and where you want it. A lot of people I know judge the distance and then decide to count on their head either to 1 second, 2 seconds, or 3 seconds in order to throw the grenade to the right distance and explode it at the enemy's feet. Personally, in order to keep me used to the 5-second fuse, I count all the way up to 5 in my head and loose the grenade at the time that I think is right. Some players are just built different and don't count at all, but in my opinion, those guys are built badly because they tend to miss more grenades than others. Either way, whatever it takes, get used to the timing. 5 seconds, drill it into your brain. The other piece of kit that Mack has is the APS, or the trophy system. To high-level players, this is the most terrifying piece of utility there is. And on top of that, they're actually reasonably easy to use. It is very important to make 100% sure that your trophy system is behind cover. An enemy would much prefer to use just a couple bullets to take out that trophy system rather than using a smoke or a grenade. Another thing that is quite important is to only defend your location or the location of your teammates. It is fairly common to see players place down a trophy system, the fight's on the other site, so they go to rotate and they leave all their trophy systems defending the site no one's at. As a general rule of thumb, pick them up, take them with you. They might just save your life. Another thing is to place trophies early and avoid disappointment. The amount of times that my screen is engulfed in a ball of flame, I check the kill feed, see that I died to a frag, the smoke clears, and there's an unused trophy on my body. It's very painful. Most defensive positions will allow you to set up 1 or 2 trophies way before you see an enemy, so just please make sure you use them. So that is Mack's weapons, his utility, and a couple tips on how to move with him as well. As a quick reminder, if you are enjoying the video, please do hit the like button. It lets me know that you like these kind of videos, and maybe I'll make more in the future. If I do, are there any rogues you'd like to see me cover? Let me know in the comment section. So now we have Mack's abilities, his active, which is Light Bomb, and his passive, Standard Issue. So let's start with his active. So I think I see a lot of people use this wrong. So the main way that I use this ability is not necessarily to get people flashed, but it is used as an area denial. If I'm covering a site and I see multiple enemies pushing me, I'll put my Light Bomb down and they'll have to wait. This allows my team to fold on the enemy, trap them in, and we win the round, oftentimes just on time. However, sometimes you get that lovely opportunity to flash multiple enemies, and when you do, make the most of it. When enemies are flashed, they are not out of the game though. They can still shoot their weapons, so make sure that you try and move away from your original position as much as you can. If an enemy is close to me, I try and roll past them to get as far away as I possibly can from where they're currently aiming, meaning they're a lot less likely to hit me with stray bullets. However, it's very important to mention, at the time of recording this, enemies can actually see your health bar through the flash. This can create some very strange situations where enemies are able to stay consistent with their shots while they're fully flashed. Bear that in mind, the best way to avoid this is to move right out the way before you engage. Now, Max Light Bomb does have a lot of health. It has 300, but it can be shot out, so make sure you place it behind cover similar to your trophy system. But be aware, you cannot place the light bomb down on top of trophy systems or on top of friendly players. This is something to definitely bear in mind when placing your trophy systems. Try and keep them away from where you're hoping to plant your light bomb. And remember to actually detonate the light bomb as well. I've seen this multiple times. I've done this myself when a Mac will use his light bomb in a really good position when he's able to hit multiple enemies if he detonates it, but he gets too engrossed in the gunfight and dies because he's fighting multiple enemies. It does take time and it does have an animation activating the light bomb, but make sure to do it if you're in a good position. And remember, you can detonate it very early if you have to. Sometimes when enemies commit to a push, they cannot go back. So when they push your site, make sure they're flashed. As a couple of examples of defense strats that work really well with Mac, on Windward defending A site, you can plant the light bomb behind the half wall, meaning that anyone pushes anywhere near the A site gets flashed. My team have won multiple rounds because the enemy gets stuck in the top of cannons or gets stuck in the approach to site and cannot move for the rest of the round. You can set up your trophies behind the half wall as well and use the flower pot or the tree as cover if you want to throw a grenade. Another defense strat that works really well is hollows on B site. You can sit on that little balcony, set up your trophies, and get ready with your light bomb. As soon as anyone pushes on, you can flash them and kill them really quick. As an added bonus, if you're quiet, the enemies will sneak right the way up to the site and begin planting the bomb before even clearing your balcony. And so it's time to talk about Mac's passive, which arguably is one of the best things about him. The Dahlia mains that I know is currently their favorite passive to link with. It of course gives you 25 armor right out of the gate, and if you get a down, you replenish that armor. Earlier in the video, I spoke about a situation where you have the objection in close range and there are multiple enemies in front of you. This is a really good situation for this passive. Most of the time, the armor regeneration will only mean that you can survive one extra bullet, but that one bullet does make a difference. Mac's passive is good, but one bullet difference is not going to save you for a gunfight with multiple people if you don't take normal precaution. Arguably, the best use from Mac's passive is mitigating damage from things like grenades and melee. The frag, the C4, the Semtex, the bounce grenade, 2 shots from Kestrel's ult, the katana, and a baseball bat to the face. Those are all things that you can survive with Mac when you have armor, as well as taking 1 extra bullet from most guns as well. In most situations, it is going to be a good idea to get out of the way of that 100 damage anyway. Sometimes, of course, you're not going to be able to, but just be aware you can survive those things. So Mac has got beast weapons, some of the best util, fantastic area denial, and my katana is going to bounce right off him. How do you kill this guy? Well, these are my tips for dealing with an enemy Mac. Now, my first tip is to get close. If that Mac is using a conviction, which he very likely will be, then it's going to be a lot less consistent at closer ranges. If it is possible to close that gap, maybe throwing a smoke and rushing at him, then it should be relatively easy to get that kill within close range. If you're being pinned by a Mac, he's shooting just above your head on close cover, then there are a couple things you can do as well. The main thing would be to line up his head with the center of your screen before you peek and shoot. This should allow you to do the burst damage required to deal with Mac's low DPS but high accuracy weapon. And if a Mac, of course, is getting greedy and wide swinging, pre-firing a lot, then you can coordinate a team peek to take him down very easily. Sometimes it is quite difficult to get it right when timing Mac's ult. If you notice the enemy Mac is a bit too quick to plant his light bomb, then make sure you bait that out and just rotate. Sometimes that isn't something you want to do. If it happens to you a lot, then running Anvil and Dahlia is a fantastic counter to this. A lot of the time, the defending team will rely on Mac's ult to lock an entire site. If you can send 2 players in that are immune to that ult and can also have tenacity to stop the frag grenade, then it could be very, very effective. As well as this, it is important to remember that you cannot be flashed through smoke. While this is useful, throwing a smoke directly at Mac's light bomb will not help, as the flash shoots out of the top of the light bomb and goes over the top of the smoke, so you will still get flashed that way. So hopefully this video has helped you become a force to be reckoned with whenever you choose Mac. If you did enjoy the video and want to be sure that you catch the next one, then please do leave a like and make sure to subscribe. Either way, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.